I felt like I couldn't find a solution for me. So I started to use AI as well for our own business, and I can see the benefit of AI is really truly boosting a lot of efficiency and productivity.
AI will typically agree with whatever you want to do and not push back, right? They will do a great job at listening to your directions, but if your directions are bad, your output is going to be bad.
To be honest with you, if I haven't really worked with a human, let's say, for the past 8 years, I wouldn't be able to really grow. And how can we learn different lessons through human triggers?
So you sort of need that human layer to have a little bit of friction.
If we push everything away, it's a kind of avoidance and numbness, but at the end of the day, no fulfillment.
So thank you for being here. I'm excited to have this conversation. And, I think, to be honest, I'd love to really just start out by talking about kind of your background a little bit. I understand that you've got a lot of experience with working with people in the VA space. Is that right? Virtual assistants?
Yes, that's right.
Good. So can I understand a little bit about how you got into that space and how you started working with VAs in general and what your expertise is there?
Right. Just asking you, has this literally has started?
Yeah. No. Officially, welcome to the show. I like to keep this as conversational as possible. I don't like a big fancy intro or anything like that. I like to keep it just you and I having a casual conversation, and everyone gets to listen along.
Yeah, sure. So I started the business by accident, I would say this way, because about 8 years ago, I was a financial planner for nearly 10 years, and I started to be self-employed. And at the time, I have to transition from a professional into a business owner mode, and I needed a lot of help for my back office operations. Because I'm not DIY style, so I had to really work with someone to help me with some things, for example, IT or marketing side. And during those years, I started to work with different VAs for my different back office operations, and I had a lot of challenges and hurdles, to be honest with you. But somehow I kept it through because I felt like something in me that I need to figure out a solution. Because at the time, I couldn't find a solution for me, especially when I need a lot of help, but I couldn't find a model that fit into my flexibility, my budget with all the skills. So I somehow work out a model that I can customize a team and everyone specialize in different area of apparently, and I can customize a team and fit it into my own budget to start with. Then I thought, why don't I share this model with others? Because many business owners may facing similar challenges when we're growing the business. We don't necessarily always hire full-time and part-time. So we need the flexibilities. We need all the skills. So that's how I literally started. I didn't really plan it, but somehow during this journey, I had challenges and figure out a solution. Then I share it.
Mm. And you scaled that then to offer that service to a lot of people, right?
Yes, that's right.
Mm. So one of the things that I think is very interesting about that space, especially now, is when we look at people who are now moving to use AI tools. I think in this virtual assistant space, it becomes very difficult for some people to understand, why should I pay maybe a part-time employee when I can just use an AI tool? And I think you have probably a different perspective on the human side of things, right? Because there's a definite advantage to having a human involved in caring in your business rather than just a website or a tool, right? Would you say?
100%, because I years ago started to work with human and purely with human. And I get it because I started to use AI as well for our own business. And I can see the benefit of AI is really truly boosting a lot of efficiency productivities. But even for myself, I still find that there is a certain areas I couldn't really integrate into my business totally. So either myself or team members still need to involve a lot of people, creativities and decisions and as integration as a part of the business. So I totally get why actually I started to see the trend for someone, if especially some business owners, if they haven't really worked with a human as yet, or if they had a really bad experience working with a human, and they always feel like AI is, it's never rejections, don't need to take leave, and then there's no human side of it. Is trigger certain different challenges or conflicts. So I totally get it. But to be honest with you, if I haven't really worked with a human, let's say, for the past 8 years, I wouldn't be able to really grow on my own side from a title leader into servant leader into a spiritual leader now. Because that's a personal journey. Like, let's put this way, like, we're here as a soul, spiritual being in a human realm. We're here to learn different lessons. And how can we learn different lessons? It's through human triggers, because we are the mirrors to each other's. Let's say if there's um, well, when we say AI, I mean, they don't have a soul, right? But people may have a different things. They say they start to have a consciousness, whatever it is. So the human can trigger the most deeper layer of all different life lessons throughout this journey.
Yeah.
So I would say both sides has a pros and cons. And I always recently are getting involved in many podcasts actually talking about this topic. That's such a wonderful question. It is not one another. It's not like a rejection or the opposite. It's a kind of how we can find a way to have a human and AI working together as a team.
Right.
That's just my view. Yeah.
No, I like that. And I think, you bring up some good points there too, especially about learning from each other. Because I mean, it's one thing I think a lot of people notice when they're working with AI is that AI will typically agree with whatever you want to do and not push back, right? They will do a great job at listening to your directions, but if your directions are bad, your output is going to be bad, right? And you're not going to get that kind of pushback, and to be able to grow as a leader or grow as a company if you're continuing to just feed in bad information, right? So you sort of need that human layer to have a little bit of friction to figure out the best way to do it. Do I hear that right?
Yeah, 100%. There's one aspect of it. I think the part you're talking about a lot of in relations to the communication part, because when we're actually dealing with the delegations, we find out, regardless who we're working with, there's two part of it. Is one thing is the information we're going through. What is really detailed, clarity enough? Like, of course, we certainly give the other side of the party a room or stage to perform and to really energize, surprise us in a way. Give them a stage to perform. But at the same token, if they're lacking of the clarity and the details, they somehow come out with the result is totally different from what we thought. The second layer can be the expectations. No matter who we work with, whether we think that, oh, this is something in my mind, and I get out and I want exactly something just like what I thought. A lot of time we put a lot of expectations on the other party that, how to say, I know AI can surprise us from time to time because they has a lot of unlimited potentials. Sometimes it's surprising us, right? But for certain jobs or certain tasks, if we don't still gearing them through, it still comes out something totally different from what I thought. I'm not sure about your experience. That was certainly mine. So I think the one layer of this part is communication, dedication, skill. That's for sure. But on the other side, from spiritual side, like whomever we deal with in our life, not just team members, we think about it this way: our family members, our kids, loved ones, parents, friends, colleagues, whomever we're dealing with, we can always find there's something happening in our life. It is our mirror triggering something for us to learn something. For example, give you an example. I used to be angry at my son. Something like, because of course I wanted him to get better, right? I used to, because I didn't think I wasn't good enough. Then I thought, oh, something he's done, I don't really like it. Then I realized I don't like something on other people is because I can see myself in it. And when I see that, I was angry at myself at the time. So I was always angry at him. But since 4 years ago, when I started a soul awakening event, I started to really go back to myself, started to expect all things around myself, strength, weakness, good or bad, whatever, light or darkness. I started to really truly embrace myself now. I can see why those certain things. I started to forgive myself. have a tolerance, have compassion for my own. Then those layer, when I see my son, the same thing as a mirror, I'm not angry anymore because I started to accept. So it's one example of how the other party, as a human being, as a soul, can trigger us this way.
Yeah.
I don't think AI can do it as yet, but
No,
because
you're
of the
right.
trigger, has triggered me to really grow. Yeah, from essence. Yeah.
And I think that there's a reason why a lot of people like using AI compared to having human relationships is because they can avoid that uncomfortable conversation. Right? When you're having an interaction with just AI in general, you're not forced to look into yourself. You can tell it whatever you want. It doesn't necessarily see you to understand you're actually lying and you're full of crap. Right. Whereas when you start to have human relationships, it gets a little bit messy. And maybe it does require you to start looking at yourself and having that realization, hey, is this something that I as a leader can improve on? If you're only going to
Yeah.
have AI based relationships, it kind of allows you to ignore that and pretend it doesn't exist.
So true. Yeah, 100%.
Yeah. So talk to me a little bit about, you said you started to maybe be a little bit angry at your son and then realized there were some things for yourself that you had to work on. Was there like a moment for you where you had that realization where everything changed? Like what was the reason you decided to start working on yourself and being a better leader for your family, for everything else?
Right. For the leader side, I have to say I didn't intention to grow at the time, and I didn't even realize I was a leader. To be honest with you. And as I mentioned 4 years ago, I had a soul awakening event. That event is actually literally my soul is awakened in a way that I remember who I am. I know why I'm here for. I know who is my source, who created my soul, and I can connect with them following the higher guidelines. And then, interestingly, because I found out my soul mission, soul power, it is helping team and members to grow. And that's why I actually found out why many years I'm working with a human, so many challenges, but I kept through because it's part of the reason why I'm here. And my soul power, it is leadership. After many years I leading a team, and then I realized, oh, leadership is my soul power, really? Then I look back and I find out actually, literally, by working with a human, I was a title leader totally at the very beginning. I was like, I'm the founder, I'm a director, you've got to listen to me, I give you the instruction, that's it, like no explanation. And when the outcome comes, why is this? Why is that? A lot of blame and criticism because exactly the attitude I was towards myself. But gradually, even before the soul awakening, I gradually transitioned into serving leader because I realized that's very uncomfortable in a way, and then they're causing a lot of conflicts, and then people is upset, and then the result is not good. Then I realized I need to provide more support, more room for people to really grow in their own pace, and then we can work cooperate together, co-create together. Uh, but by saying that, I started to support and giving rooms, but people started to step on my boundary, to be honest. And then that's after my soul awakening, when I started to really look after myself more and more instead of seeking the external validations. I realized that my boundary gets stronger because I used to, for example, my son, give you example, I used to be angry at him, but spoil him at the same time. To be honest, I angry is because it triggered my own emotion, and then spoiling is like kind of like feeling of guilty. I'm not good enough. I'm not good mom. I need to give whatever I want. The kind of feeling complex. But once I started to love more and more myself, I accept myself. I'm not angry anymore. And also, I started to have stronger boundary. I started to respect on my own feelings. I let go of the guilt and shame, all those areas as a baggage. By saying that, I started to grow into a spiritual leader now. Like I started to balance the compassion and the boundary. So it is a journey. When you're talking about it, but talking about the leadership stuff, is it a natural transition for me to go over? Yeah. What was the other
Mm.
part? I kind of forget. When we talk about it. But anyway, it will come back.
How old is your son?
Now he's 18.
Do you think that you have a better relationship now than you did years ago?
Much better. Much, much
Yeah.
better. And not just with my son, with anyone in my life. you know, whether it's in family or friends or in the workplace. It's an interesting thing. There was a girl actually at the very beginning when I was like a title leader stage. She worked for me, and then after some time, she actually left. 2 years ago, she actually came back. She said, I'm ready to work again. I come back. And then in the team meeting, and when everybody shared the stories, and she said, everyone, at the very beginning, Joe made me cry. Because at the time I was title leader, right? But she said, "Oh, Joe has changed so much. Like in a way, she can see my growth." And in our team, I always feeling this. We have a growth mindset for all the people. To be honest with you, our model is not easy for our VAs. They don't have a steady workload. It's same as our business. It's very fluctuated. However, people kept through with me for many years because they have the growth mindset. When we are together, we're growing together. And I look back, that's exactly what I'm doing with my soul mission, helping team members to grow. And we all together to help business to grow together too. So it's a journey, I would say.
Yeah. And so, at least for me personally, I'm a big believer that the things that we hide from a lot of times, once we own them and step into that, we realize that that's actually one of the most powerful superpowers we have. So I'm curious, like from your perspective, going through this transformation and working with so many people, do you sort of see it that same way with the people that you interact with?
When you're talking about superpower, um, interestingly, I want to go back to leadership again. At
Sure.
that time, yeah, I didn't know that. Because before the soul awakening, I always see the word leadership, 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 but I didn't realize. Oh, I remember what it was now. Why did I go through what has made me to make changes, right? Um, we talk about when I look at leadership, I didn't have any feeling. And when I had a soul awakening, I realized it's my soul power. And then I look back on my old journey because all those challenges we go through and we figure out a solution, we grow from the journey. And that's created where our power lies in. And I find out, we either someone, many people, not just myself, we can find that there's someone will have a superpower in us. A lot of time, the life or universe, God, whomever you call it, it's like giving us assignment. Okay, so that's a theme. We're gonna give you a bunch of homework for you to do. And they create a certain environment. I used to hate challenges, but now I totally get it now because all those hiccups, challenges, is literally to help us to grow, to unleash our potential, to experience our self-value. Like my spiritual mentor mentioned, self-love is to experience the self-value. Imagine that if I block out the unknown and I don't want any challenges, how can I grow? How can I experience self-value? I wouldn't be able to do that. So now I totally see all those challenges there for a reason. And all of us actually go through that but for like identify our superpower, unleash our superpower. And I know many people that, especially their superpower at the very beginning, they suppress and feel the worst part of themselves. Like I know some coaches for speaking when they were young, they couldn't even speak in the public. So all those sort of things, and I think even in the young children, we can see there's something they suppress. Probably later on, they can be really unleashed during their life journeys. Go back to the AI probably wouldn't be able to happen because they're so smooth. No hiccups, How can we grow or unleash our personal, power into that? So when we say what has triggered me to change, what's the reason? Was that I wouldn't say it's a sudden change, even though I had a soul awakening event. It's a journey because I used to have a certain patterns. For example, many of them may experience patterns, right? And especially if we don't change, the pattern will come again, get stronger and stronger. I believe everyone has those kind of moments. But by certain points, I love your story. I actually read your background because you were really successful for your business, but you miss out your son's birthday party, and then you realize there's something not right. They even probably happened quite a few times up to a certain point and really hit you, right? So that's what we call patterns. I used to have those patterns and come into really bad stage, and I was like in a dark room and then like endless headless flies, but there's no way out. But that soul awakening when it's kind of like awaken my soul. There's like a light from the crack on the sky, the light's coming through. I start to be aware. So now, whenever I experience different things, I can sense what's the lesson behind of what I'm learning here. So it's kind of like a fast track of learning and grow for this way. Yeah. And I once again, I respect your own decision and go back to the life journey. You feel much more happier now, I believe.
Yes.
Mm.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think that's for having these conversations with as many people as I have. I will say that 100% of the people who have gone through some type of experience and decided that they are going to become a better version of themselves by leaning into it and doing the difficult work, those people are living a much happier and just better life, right?
Hmm.
But it takes the commitment to do that level of work because it's not easy, it's uncomfortable, and it's scary, right? Initially, when you're living that life, even though if you recognize, maybe there are some patterns in your life that you're not happy with, okay, you're used to it, you're comfortable with it. You deal with it because you're used to that level of discomfort in your life and you think that's just normal. And doing something different, having the conversations, admitting that maybe your life isn't as perfect as you tell everyone it is scary, right? So you stay kind of stuck in that moment. But when you do decide, I'm actually going to change and I'm going to start talking to other people and we're going to start having some growth. Maybe you have, right, your soul awakening event, and I want to get into that in a minute. You start to realize that life on the other side of that is so much better, then it becomes kind of addictive. You start getting addicted to, hey, how much can I almost tear down about myself to build a better version? Because now I'm addicted to how good can this possibly get? So, at least that's been my experience. It's been an experience a lot of people I've spoken to, but I'd love to kind of hear your story of your soul awakening event. I know you've mentioned that a few times. So could we tell me a little bit more about that?
Right. What would you like to know about it?
I'm
Well,
just, I
yeah.
mean, let's hear what was that event like? Describe that event if you could.
I had that event, as I mentioned, over 4 years ago. But to be honest, when I was young, since I was young, I always felt there was a mystery energy around me because I'm very sensitive to the energies. They are protecting me, but so I always wonder who they are. Like I kind of feel very fortunate and lucky in a way. And then by that time, there were multiple things happening in my life. I found many soul brothers or sisters before they had a soul awakening, either by someone else, like myself, guided by a spiritual mentor, or self-awakened. Is it because multiple factors coming together in the life, and then to make us feel like, aha, that's not the right way. I have to think again to redirect. So for me, at the time, I had a marriage breakdown and I was in my business for many years. I tried so hard, but I didn't go to the stage I want. So I'm not really certain sure whether I'm on the right track. And then I work so hard and I ignore my family, like the relationship side of things. So everything is actually coming to me at that stage. I feel like I needed clarity. For me, it was a clarity. Everybody may have a different reasons. And then at the time I get to, probably it's a divine timing, I met this spiritual mentor. So she had this a 3 days event. So interestingly, at the very beginning, it's not just her. There's a group of brother sisters, soul brother sister, who has done the soul awakening, sitting. It's like a panel. No, not panel. It's not judging panel. They listen to the whole event to support myself. At the very beginning, I was reluctant because there are many people listen to all that. Like the how to say, everybody know my secret.
Right.
And a spiritual mentor mentioned one thing. She said, first of all, under the universe of source vision, there's no secret because they all seeing, all knowing. Everything is from that perspective. Let's see, we do things, but they are looking at it, right? But at the second token, if we don't really come face a group of people, drop our mask, we can never go back to true self because we can't really face. A lot of time we're actually wearing armor and to pretend and to feel strong, and it's just to kind of go to the version that feel like, I'm holding something back. those are the things that we ignorance or numb or escape, because that's a way for us to protect we think it's a protection. However, it's a kind of like, um, easy way to go to certain. I'll give you an example. For example, if someone, or let's talk about AI again, you know, because there's no challenges, they're so smooth. So we kind of like, it's so happy to, even though by working with just AI, people can go maybe build a successful business. If you use a successful definition as a lot of money, good status of the society, whatever it is. So by doing that, we wouldn't be able to really learn, right? To go back to the true self. So let's go back to Soul Awakening. So during that event, there are a group of people listen, and then I decided to, as you mentioned, there's a decision. I need to make a decision at a time whether I really want to go into this event or not, whether I have the courage and take the action to do it. So I decided to do it. So after those 3 days, give you one interesting example. I thought I love myself a lot because I look after myself. I feel like I want to go out to eat and go to travel. I can do whatever I want. I started to be self-employed. I have freedom, all those sort of things. But after that, my spiritual mentor mentioned to me, she said, "You're so cruel to yourself." Because I used to look after everybody else, right? So I give to this, give to that. My cup is empty. At the end of the day, I always feel drained and frustrated. And I didn't realize I was trying to people pleasing at the time. And that's all deeper spiritual reason behind it, because I didn't feel I was good enough. I didn't truly see my value, so I was people pleasing. By doing that, I was depleted, and then the only person I forgot to look after was myself. Then I gradually understand why she said that. I was so cruel to myself. So, and now because I practice more and more, go back to myself, I fill in my own cup first. Whatever extra will naturally flow to others. I will describe two images. Probably can resonate with some of your audience. I used to be feeling like a knight, like a waving cape, very strong, and I can do anything on the field, go to fighting, I can go to victory, look very confident, altar, but at night, I'm sewing my heart with tears. Like that. That was me. That used to be myself. Then I understand why I was like, my spiritual mentor said I was so cruel. Well, but now, because I started to feel my own cups and naturally for a while, I can see another picture now. It's like a little fairy with the wings very light and flying with around a lighting box, and this endless energy just flowing out, and I'm just very happy around it and to share that with others. That's totally two different states. I hope these two images can resonate with some of the audience. It is our decision which version of ourselves we wanted to be. And after decision, we got to take courage, like what I experienced my soul awakening. It sounds freaking out, but I decided to do it. I had the courage to face it and then take action. I think everything in our life, it is these 3 steps. And like your own story as well, you made a decision to make change and you take courage to really change your lifestyle and you take action. So that's the same thing. And I hope that no matter where we are, what we're experiencing, I hope this conversation can really plant seeds, make someone realize that if you're not happy about what you're experiencing now, there must be a sign. There's a signal. There's ways they're communicating to us to say, hey, is that the direction you really want to go to? And another thing is that when I experienced the soul awakening, I realized unconditional love. What is unconditional love? Is that the love is always there. We're always loved, accepted, supported by them. But why they still created challenges for us is not because they don't love us anymore. It's because they want us to grow, right? And for many people, they want us to, like, their main intention is to want us to be happy. But a lot of us in this world, we try so hard, whatever it is, but at the end, we're not happy. That's why they have a different ways to guide us towards the happiness, because they are from another dimension. From there, they can see which way is better for us. But we actually stuck in this 3D, we're not really sure. So that was what I experienced. Had this guidance from a different dimension and see the direction and to find happiness journey.
I love that. And what I'm hearing you say in that is like the example that I'm hearing is that version of us, the fairy version of us, if you will, that is light and happy, exists at all times and existed even before, but it was
Hmm.
hidden behind this protective layer that you set up to sort of keep you safe. But what it was doing was really preventing that version from being seen. And it reminds me a little bit of, let's say you have a house and you want to protect your house. So you put up a nice big fence in front of your house so that no one can get into your house, into your property. That fence is also preventing you from getting out. And what winds up happening is, you get stuck back there behind that fence and you can only see a little bit of the world. And all of the goodness and just the blessings that are out there in the world are not able to get to you because you've said, hey, the only way I want it to get to me is if I decide to open the gate and let it in. Right? You want this illusion of control over your life because you think that's what's going to keep you safe and protected. And what winds up
Hmm.
happening is that's the very thing that prevents you from receiving those blessings and receiving the goodness that is there for you. And it takes a decision to open up the gate, open up the fence, and allow the world to see who you really are for
Hmm.
those blessings to get to you. And once you do, you're able to release that inner version of yourself and share with the world and receive all the blessings that are coming to you. And I think, at least if I understand your message correctly, is really encouragement to take down that fence and to let the world see you, and especially start with letting yourself see who you are, right? Letting yourself see who you were designed to be, and listening to those voices of the Holy Spirit that's telling you, hey, you're designed for more. Step into that. And yes, it might be uncomfortable, but you'll have guides with you along the way to kind of help you be the best version of yourself, and that there is so much more out there for you, but you have to be the one to release control, which is scary for a lot of people. You have to be the one to say, hey, I'm willing to be a little bit uncomfortable to receive the blessings that are coming to me. Because once you do, you'll be able to receive those. And I don't think you can really even understand how awesome those blessings are because you can only see it from this little perspective that you're used to hiding behind the gate. Does that make sense?
100%. I love this example. That's totally, the way to describe how we can open our heart and to face this world and to really unleash our own potential again. On another layer, I wanted to add as well, the defense, is a perfect example. Everything is a double-sided sword. Let's say this fence is actually preventing others to see us, preventing us to go out. But at the same token, it's a protection too. It depends on how we look at it, right? Same as AI, double-sided sword. Whether we utilize it as just as a tool to earn money, to get a status we wanted to go to, or we wanted to work with AI together as a team to really achieve the growth. And that depends on our intention. Is it from love and care, or is it from desire and fear? So everything is a double-sided sword. And I go back to the fence. When we actually open heart and more, and I understand why many people can start to, including myself, why I protect myself so much. It was because many people may experience go abused for the kindness before when they were young. Since they're young, probably parents or society, school, whatever it is, or friends, we started to armor up because every child was so pure and fragile, vulnerable. But we experienced different things, and we got layer and layer protected. We felt that was safe. But all those journeys, now when I look back, everything has a meaning for it. If we're not, because we experienced that, we wouldn't be able to understand the other person's perspective. Or let's call it compassion or empathy, right? So every single journey is meaningful, and same as the conflicts and hiccups with human. Every journey is meaningful, and that's true essence for us to grow as life lessons to go through. So I think that I love your example. Yeah. And then when we open the heart, let's learn to protect our energy as well. And that's
Yeah.
something from a spiritual realm we can do. A physical, emotional, and spiritual. That's a three layers. Yeah.
Hmm. If you had one piece of advice to give this person listening today, what would it be?
Let me have a feel, because I don't use my brain to talk. I just want to feel what do you want to say to everyone. I think saying still like respect our own feeling more. But saying that, is that understand the feeling. Because when we do things, there are certain things when we do, regardless of the external outcome, our heart, our feeling can tell us the most. When we do something, whether it's construct or tight or nervous, or we expand, happy and light. So probably pay more attention to those signals because those are, and don't avoid emotions. Emotions are great. All those emotions happening around us, giving us a signal. If when we're happy, we're sad, we're frustrated, even going through grief, let us face that. Face it, accept it, then we can heal from it and we can learn from it. If we avoid, push everything away, it's a kind of avoidance and numbness. We're probably just stuck in a position we feel like very good as an illusion, but at the end of the day, no fulfillment.
Yeah.
Because I personally one day done this, so I will feel like everyone started to really pay more attention to our own feelings and emotions.
Mm.
Mm.
So what I'm hearing you say, and that is feel your feelings, but don't be your feelings, right? So feel happy, feel sad, but be yourself with those feelings, right? Don't pretend to be a different version of yourself or don't lie to yourself. Allow yourself to listen to the feelings that you're having without them controlling your identity. Is that right?
Yeah, that's so true. And accept everything. It doesn't mean that because I used to be feeling I was very positive, I wanted to get rid of the negativities. But negativity is there sometimes to help us. If I don't really face those emotions and really accept them and respect them, I wouldn't be able to learn, to be honest.
Yeah.
That's how I escaped numb myself for many, many years. I look very happy outside, but internal always feel something missing. Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm.
Well, I think that's right. I mean, there's a lot of people who will avoid feeling negativity because it's uncomfortable. But,
Yes.
you end up lying to yourself and that creates a whole host of problems. I think the much healthier option is to feel the negative feeling, but decide not to keep it. You don't need to keep that emotion. You can feel it, but then just go back to being who you are. You don't need to be negative. Feel the negative emotion, understand where it comes from, why it exists, but be yourself. Don't allow yourself to be consumed by it.
That's so true.
Yeah,
Yes.
I love that.
Mm.
I want to thank you for this conversation. It's been honestly a true pleasure. Where can we best support you going forward? Is website, book? Like, how can we best support you?
I think the best way to find me is on LinkedIn. If you go to LinkedIn, put my name, Joanna Zhang, there may be multiple of Joanna Zhang, but if you put operations beside it, I will show up.
Very good. All right, well, again, thank
Mm.
you tremendously. Any last words you'd like to share?
Everything starts from ourselves. If we don't have ourselves, we can't give it to others, including understanding, acceptance, tolerance, patience, support, love, and care. Let's give it to ourselves first. And we will find that will have endless energy to give what we have to others as a ripple effect.
I love that. So true. Well, again, thank you tremendously. It's an honor to have this conversation. Thank you.
Thank you.